Chapter 1. At the celebration dinner for their third wedding anniversary, Sincere Windsor was surrounded by a crowd of friends teasing him. "Shenji, are you gifting Victoria a luxury estate this year? But don't tell me Victoria's anniversary gift for you is just homemade cookies again?" Sincere's family is powerful and wealthy. He doesn't care about the price tag. But let me tell you, brother, for anyone, man or woman, where you spend your money, that's where your heart is. A confident, easy smile graced Sincere Windsor's lips. He stated firmly, "I haven't received this year's gift yet, but I already saw the shopping receipt in Victoria's bag. It's a valuable limited edition designer watch." Cheers and compliments erupted around him, but in the next second, Sincere's smile froze on his face. On the wrist of his father's illegitimate son, Caleb Windsor, he saw the very watch that should have been his. Noticing Sincere's sudden silence, a friend slung an arm around his shoulder, exclaiming, "When found the price, Victoria's really generous, over $8 million for a watch. Ain't only a watch of this caliber truly matches Shen Ji's status." "Shen Ji, why so quiet?" Stunned speechless with joy. "Sage, hey, isn't that Caleb Windsor? What's he doing here?" As the words fell, an instant chilling silence descended. Caleb pretended not to see the aversion and resistance on everyone's faces, walking straight over and offering a gift with a smile. "Brother, happy anniversary to you and sister-in-law." Sincere remained motionless, his gaze sweeping coldly over Caleb's face. This son of his father's mistress, never acknowledged by the Windsor family, cherished only by his father, actually had the audacity to show up here. Just as he was about to tell Caleb to get lost, a soft darling sounded beside him. Victoria Fairchild approached, carrying an exquisite bag. She greeted the others politely first, then solemnly presented the gift with both hands. The awkward atmosphere eased slightly, and the crowd started joking again. Together for 3 years, married for 3 years, and still so in love. Especially Shenji, always showing off his affection, never taking off that pink leather cord on his wrist, helping Victoria stake her claim. "Victoria should have given you a watch long ago. The packaging is so elegant." "Shenji, hurry up and open it." Sincere's hand had already undone the ribbon when he heard Victoria's puzzled voice. "What watch? I baked chocolate chip cookies myself, and I even drew Sincere's face on them. They're quite cute." Sincere abruptly stopped unwrapping the gift, tossing it aside carelessly. The smile froze on Victoria's face, though she maintained her elegance. "Sincere, what are you doing? Are you unhappy with what I made? And gifts aren't about price. I know you value the thought more. If you don't like the cookies, I also brought a cake I baked myself." Sincere slammed his glass down heavily, exposing Victoria's lie directly. "What about the men's watch you bought at the mall yesterday? Don't tell me you gave an $8 million item away as a gift to someone else." Victoria paused slightly, but quickly smoothed her brow, smiling as she linked her arm through Sincere's. "So that's what you're angry about? Sincere, why are you so impatient? Your father keeps a mistress. Hasn't your mother endured it all this time? I've never been unfaithful to you. Besides, Caleb is your brother. I just felt sorry for him, seeing him so pitiful with no one to care for him." Sincere let out a cold scoff. Before he could speak, Caleb, looking deeply aggrieved, took off the watch, lowered his head, and spoke in a choked voice. "I'm sorry, big brother. I'll give it back to you right now, even though it was my 20th birthday present." Seeing this, Victoria released Sincere's arm, her expression cooling slightly as she looked up at him directly. "Sincere, be more magnanimous. Don't be so aggressive." Sincere laughed, enraged. He snapped his fingers, summoning his assistant. "Anko, get me every high-end watch in the city. Since my wife loves giving gifts so much, let her give to her heart's content tonight." Chapter 2. In less than half an hour, the assistant Daniel Smith returned to the banquet hall with a dozen salespeople. Rows upon rows of top-tier luxury watches were displayed. Seeing this spectacle, Victoria frowned instantly, a flash of displeasure crossing her face. A cold smile played on Sincere's lips as he handed the bill to Victoria. "So you enjoy giving luxury items to my siblings, don't you? And quite a few cousins are here today. You wouldn't play favorites and only dote on my illegitimate brother, the one kept in the shadows, would you?" As he spoke, his gaze shot towards Caleb like icy stars. Caleb shrank back, looking like a wronged little wife. "Brother, it's all my fault for being vain. It has nothing to do with sister-in-law. Please don't embarrass her here." Those peach blossom eyes, so similar to Sincere's, were now slightly red, resembling the pitiful, wronged White Lotus character from novels. Sincere sneered, his tone thick with sarcasm. "Spending tens of millions on a few watches is nothing to your sister-in-law. It's pocket change." He signaled Daniel to place a pen in Victoria's hand. Then, right in front of Caleb, wrapped an arm around Victoria's waist in a dominant, possessive gesture. Seeing Victoria still unmoved, Sincere quirked his lips. "If these aren't enough, I'll immediately have people gather watches from neighboring cities. Tonight you will give until you've had enough. Brother, don't force sister-in-law." Caleb, seemingly summoning all his courage, rushed towards Sincere but was stopped by bodyguards. He stumbled, appearing even more pathetic. Sincere's eyes darkened. Disdaining further engagement with Caleb, he spoke coldly. "Your sister-in-law was raised like a delicate rose in a greenhouse, sheltered from the ways of the world. It's understandable if she doesn't grasp what it means for a woman to give a man a multi-million-dollar watch. But you? An illegitimate son who struggled his way up in a rough environment, you don't understand either." Caleb's innocent expression suddenly shifted. He lowered his head, his shoulders trembling slightly, and actually started to sob. Victoria, stunned for a moment, finally snapped back. Her gaze flickered towards Caleb and quickly returned, her signature gentle smile reappearing. She took out her checkbook, swiftly wrote a check, handed it to Daniel, and gently coaxed Sincere. "Darling, it's just a watch. If you don't like it, I'll have him return it to the store." Saying this, she naturally took Sincere's hand, shaking it playfully like a spoiled child. "You, getting jealous over such a small thing, nearly ruining the bond between you brothers. If you're still unhappy, I'll be heartbroken." With that, Victoria waved dismissively at Caleb, signaling him to leave quickly. Sincere watched her casually dismiss Caleb. Instead of getting angrier, he tightened his grip around her waist, leaned close to her ear, his voice low but carrying a warning. "Both men, I can see right through Caleb's intentions. If he dares try anything funny again, I have plenty of ways to deal with him. Don't forget, you're my wife. Consider these tens of millions a small lesson for you. Don't let there be a next time." Victoria smiled helplessly, playfully calling him a jealous king, and allowed Sincere to keep his arm around her as they walked towards the center of the hall. Seeing the couple's intimate posture and loving appearance, everyone applauded, offering blessings. The younger siblings were even more excited, teasing, "But brother and sister-in-law's relationship is so good, hurry up and give us a little nephew or niece to play with." Sincere smiled without speaking, merely tightening his arm around Victoria's waist. His hot breath brushed against her ear, instantly turning her cheeks red. Embarrassed and flustered, Victoria gently pushed the man beside her. "And there are children present. Stop messing around here." Then, as if afraid Sincere was still angry, she softly explained, "I know you're still upset, but I really just see Caleb as your brother. Sincere, don't let your imagination run wild. Unright, I'm going to touch up my makeup. The dinner is about to start." Sincere released her, watching her leave. Daniel teased from the side, "Mr. Windsor, your jealousy is quite strong. Being jealous of an illegitimate son with no inheritance rights seemed rather beneath him in others' eyes." Sincere's expression turned sharp. He gave a cold command, "Hit Caleb out of here. He's not qualified to be here." Just then someone loudly called Sincere over, saying they had a good show for him. The group moved to a corner of the hall where several cousins had surrounded Caleb, their faces full of mockery. "You should thank your lucky stars you have eyes like Sincere's. Otherwise, would Victoria have given you a second glance, let alone such an expensive watch? We benefited too, and Victoria has always been generous. You wouldn't get any funny ideas just because of one watch, would you? Aiming way too high, like a toad lusting after a swan." At that moment, a younger child spoke bluntly, pointing at Caleb's face. "Mother was a homewrecker, Caleb. Don't you go learning from her and become someone's kept man." Caleb stood there, utterly humiliated, unable to advance or retreat. Just when he was completely isolated, Victoria arrived quickly in her high heels, took Caleb's hand, and pulled him behind her protectively. Chapter. Seeing Victoria standing protectively in front of Caleb, the cousins instantly fell silent. The oldest one, facing Victoria's icy expression, couldn't help but ask, "Ono sister-in-law, what are you?" "Caleb is as dirty as his mother. Sister-in-law, stay away from him." Caleb lowered his head, saying nothing, lightly tugging at the corner of Victoria's dress and whispering, "Sister-in-law." Sincere watched quietly. Clear displeasure flashed in Victoria's eyes. Just as she was about to speak, Sincere cut in, his voice tinged with amusement. "That's just your sister-in-law. So warm-hearted." The words "warm-hearted" made the cousins exchange puzzled glances. Everyone in the city knew Victoria Fairchild was like aloof moonlight. Except for showing her softer, womanly side to Sincere, she was always cold towards others. The evaluation of a warm-hearted felt completely out of place. The smile on Sincere's face deepened with meaning. "Your sister-in-law's memory is so bad, she forgets what she just said in the blink of an eye." "Darling," Victoria wheedled helplessly, walking over to Sincere's side. "I was just passing by after using the restroom and was curious what they were talking about." "Don't overthink it." Sincere's gaze swept over Caleb, then he raised his hand and draped it over Victoria's shoulder. In front of Caleb's pitiful face, Sincere lowered his head, cupped Victoria's chin, his tone domineering. "Son, I am the sole heir of the Windsor family. It's normal for my cousins to look out for me and protect me. If you admit here, in front of everyone, that you love me and are loyal to me, they will naturally understand." A flicker of unease crossed Victoria's face, but she leaned into Sincere's embrace and shyly confessed her love. Everyone around them started cheering, praising their love story. "Look, this is a true match made in heaven, perfectly suited families. And some people should know their place and stop aiming for the stars." "It's disgusting." Saw sister-in-law and Shenji have been together for 6 years, about to overcome the 7-year itch. Their bond is rock solid. Those with ill intentions won't find it easy to break them apart. And Caleb, remember my words, don't be like your mother, a shameless homewrecker. These sharp, attacking words left Caleb utterly humiliated. He wrung his hands helplessly and hurried away from Victoria's side. Victoria only cast a fleeting glance in Caleb's direction before tightening her grip on Sincere's hand, her expression returning to normal. She continued mingling among the cousins with him. Then they returned together to the center of the banquet hall, appearing in everyone's eyes as the same loving, sweet couple. After the banquet, Victoria went into the kitchen as usual to make hangover soup. Sincere sat on the living room sofa, remembering when he first met Victoria. She was a spoiled, radiant heiress. Let alone cooking, her delicate hands had likely never even touched cold water. But after they started dating, Victoria's strong possessiveness emerged, controlling Sincere's life meticulously, from food and clothing to his schedule. Sometimes Sincere felt suffocated. His friends often teased him about being henpecked. But thinking of their genuine love and Victoria's effort in giving up her pampered life to cook for him softened Sincere's heart. Ignoring his post-drinking headache, he got up and headed to the kitchen, intending to lend Victoria a hand. But when he opened the refrigerator, several boxes of insulin and stomach medicine on the shelf caught his eye. Sincere had always been healthy, and there was no history of diabetes in the Windsor family. One person instantly flashed through his mind: the illegitimate son who always feigned illness for sympathy and had inherited his mother's diabetes. Caleb, even without concrete proof or witnessing it himself, the thought that Caleb had brazenly entered their home while he was away and arrogantly left his medicine in their fridge as a provocation sent ice through Sincere's veins. His face turned grim as frost. He was about to demand an explanation from Victoria when her phone suddenly rang. Sincere instinctively moved closer, catching the name on the screen out of the corner of his eye: Caleb Windsor. Victoria, oblivious to Sincere's turbulent expression, turned off the stove, a faint smile on her face as she answered the call. A few seconds later, concern filled her expression. Don't worry, I'll be right over." Chapter 4. "Where are you going?" Sincere's voice suddenly sounded from behind her. Victoria's hand holding the phone trembled violently. She turned to see him standing silently behind her, his face dangerously dark. Victoria patted her chest, forcing a smile to maintain composure. "Darling, weren't you resting on the sofa? You appeared so suddenly you nearly scared me to death." Sincere scoffed internally. If her conscience was clear, what was there to be afraid of? "I'll ask again, where are you going?" Victoria calmly explained. "The people at the mall are giving Caleb a hard time, saying the watch he tried to return is fake. I'm going to help smooth things over. He can't handle it alone. I need to go help him out. There's really nothing else to it." Saying this, she playfully reached up to pinch Sincere's cheek and placed a light kiss on his lips. "Darling, you drank quite a bit tonight. I'll have the housekeeper finish making the hangover soup. Drink it and go to bed early, okay? I'll be back as soon as possible. I won't be too long." They had known each other for years, but this was the first time Victoria was leaving him while he was drunk. Before, she would cling to him teasingly, saying his stamina was better after drinking, that she was obsessed with the scent of alcohol on his lips, wanting to get drunk on him. But now, she was ready to walk out for Caleb. Sincere grabbed Victoria's arm, his tone displeased. "You're leaving me for that illegitimate son? Mrs. Windsor, don't forget who your husband is." A flash of anxiety crossed Victoria's eyes, but she feigned a helpless smile. "Darling, didn't your cousins already teach Caleb a lesson? And your men kicked him out of the banquet hall. Isn't he just trying to follow your wishes by returning the watch now? And he's still your brother, after all. If word gets out that he's being treated this way, it won't reflect well on your reputation either." Sincere felt a throbbing in his temples. Victoria's words sounded like accusations, making him seem like the unreasonable villain who had stolen Caleb's watch. "What time is it now? It's the middle of the night. He deliberately called you away from me. Is he really the one being given a hard time, or is he intentionally trying to give me a hard time? Don't you really understand?" As Sincere spoke, he pulled Victoria forcefully into his arms, his voice deep. "Don't go. Keep making the soup. You're not going anywhere tonight." Sincere's dominant attitude finally provoked Victoria. She sighed in annoyance. "Do you have to make things so difficult for your brother? Besides, in your eyes, am I just someone who makes soup? We have a housekeeper." Victoria stared directly at Sincere, her voice cold. "You're always so inconsiderate, so aggressive. Sincere Windsor, you've truly disappointed me." Her words were like a bucket of cold water, extinguishing Sincere's anger. Disappointment flickered in his eyes too, his voice trembling slightly. "In all these years, this is the first time you've called me by my full name. It's for the son of a homewrecker." Sincere let out a cold smile, crossing his arms as he looked at Victoria. "You knew when you met me that I was dominant, ruthless. Back then you said you admired that about me most, that it perfectly matched your standards for a partner. But now, just because of an illegitimate son, I've become the villain in your eyes." Sincere didn't want to say another word to Victoria. He turned to the stove, turned on the flame, and picked up the ladle, mechanically stirring the soup. Scalding broth splashed onto his arm, making him wince slightly. but he remained expressionless, as if he felt no pain. Victoria, however, was startled and quickly called the housekeeper, Mary, for burn cream, but Sincere pulled his hand away, not letting her touch him, and returned to the bedroom without a word. Victoria didn't leave. She stayed by his side. Though Sincere lay in bed, he wasn't asleep. He clearly heard the sound of Victoria sending messages. When morning came, Sincere opened his eyes. Victoria was long gone. Just then his phone received a video. The footage showed a hospital room where Caleb was surrounded by a dozen bodyguards. The leader was shouting at a doctor, "If Mr. Windsor's arm scars. None of you will get off easy, treat Mr. Windsor immediately." Following the video, a voice message from a close friend arrived. "Shenji, isn't that person one of Victoria's trusted aides? Why is she protecting that illegitimate son so fiercely? Think Caleb just has a tiny scratch on his arm, but she called in all the hospital surgeons late at night. Shenji, what on earth is going on?" Chapter. Sincere ignored the message, tossing his phone aside. Only then did he realize Victoria was nowhere to be seen. He glanced down at his own arm. The burn had blistered badly. When it broke, pus mixed with blood oozed out. A painful sight. Far worse than the minor scratch on Caleb shown in the video. Sincere felt intensely irritated. Victoria came from a prominent family, her background on par with the Windsors. As the only daughter, she had been meticulously groomed since childhood and was dazzlingly accomplished, inheriting all her parents' best traits. Her intellect and beauty were enough to make her the city's most eye-catching jewel. Yet the more men pursued her, the more aloof and arrogant she became, giving no suitor the time of day. Only he became the exception, the one she actively approached. He remembered countless passionate nights, lying entwined, Victoria clinging tightly to his waist, panting that she would only love him for her entire life. But ever since Caleb appeared in the Windsor family, everything had changed. Victoria's attention seemed completely captivated by Caleb. She constantly brought him up, always talking about how pitiful Caleb was. It was as if Caleb's current situation was entirely Sincere's fault. The more Sincere thought, the angrier he became. He was about to get up and confront Victoria when she pushed the door open, steadily carrying a breakfast tray. On the tray were all of Sincere's favorite foods. Victoria approached with a gentle smile. "Darling, you're awake? I was worried you'd have a headache after drinking so much, so I brought breakfast up for you. Are you feeling better today? Don't be like a child getting jealous over everything." Sincere leaned back against the pillows, slowly sitting up, pretending ignorance as he asked, "How was Caleb last night? Did the mall staff throw him out?" He added a sneer, clearly noticing Victoria stiffen slightly. "It seems there was some dispute. Things got a bit unpleasant. I'm not exactly sure about the details." Victoria forced composure, handing him the bowl of porridge. "Have some porridge first. It'll warm your stomach and make you feel better. Why did you suddenly bring up Caleb? You're not going to get jealous and argue with me again, are you?" Sincere didn't reach for the porridge. Instead, he abruptly looked up, his gaze fixed on Victoria, and asked sharply, "Can you look me in the eye and swear there is absolutely nothing ambiguous between you and Caleb?" Victoria's gaze flickered away instinctively, but only for a moment. She took a deep breath, sighed, put down the bowl, and reached out to hold Sincere's hand. "How many times have I told you? I just feel sorry for your brother. He's not accepted by anyone and is always slighted by you, his own brother. We've been married for so many years, don't you have even the slightest bit of trust in me?" Victoria spoke earnestly. Then, picking up the porridge again, she personally fed it toward Sincere's lips. "The person I care about most, the one who matters most to me, is you and only you." Sincere pretended to casually reveal the burn on his arm. When Victoria saw it, she showed only mild surprise, then nonchalantly said, "I'll bring the medicine up later and apply it again for you." The scalding porridge, combined with Victoria's dismissive attitude, burned Sincere's heart. Caleb's minor scratch warranted Victoria mobilizing all the surgeons. Yet his own severe burn earned only such a perfunctory response. Sincere felt choked with resentment and took the bowl himself. Just then, Victoria's phone rang. She answered it and walked towards the balcony. But the door wasn't fully closed, and snippets of conversation drifted over. Say got burned too? What is that caregiver doing? Sending people who hit him last night, send them all to the police station. I won't allow anyone to bully him, and make sure he doesn't scar. His hands are so beautiful for playing the piano, I can't bear to see him injured. You ask why I said burn too? Because Sincere got hurt as well. But Sincere is tough, he can endure it. Doesn't complain about the pain, not like Caleb. After finishing the call, Victoria turned and saw Sincere, who hadn't touched his food. She rubbed her temples, looking weary. Darling, I really wish you could be more understanding, trust me more. Don't be so suspicious of me even now. She looked at Sincere's cold face, her tone gentle yet distant. Perhaps you're just stressed from work lately. That's why you've become so cruel and ruthless. It's okay. I can go back to my parents' place for a while, give you some space to cool down. She was clearly making excuses to leave, yet blaming him for it all. Rage surged within Sincere, but he suppressed it, merely giving a detached minimum. He watched her put on her coat and hurry towards the garage. At that moment he knew with chilling clarity that the once fervent love had soured, irretrievably lost. Sincere hesitated no longer. He picked up his phone and dialed the Windsor Corporation's lawyer. And assemble the best legal team immediately. Draft a divorce agreement for me as soon as possible. Chapter 6. While waiting for the lawyer, the housekeeper, Mary, knocked on Sincere's door. She entered holding an exquisite box. Mrs. Windsor asked me to give this to you. She said no matter what happens, she will always love you. Although she spoke of going home, she couldn't bear to be apart from you for too long and will be back tonight. Sincere's expression was cold as he reached for the box. The moment he opened it, a watch identical to the one on Caleb's wrist met his eyes. Sincere chuckled, then handed the watch to Mary. Startled, she refused vehemently, waving her hands. Sir, I couldn't possibly. This gift is too valuable. How could I dare accept it? This is clearly a token of Mrs. Windsor's deep affection for you. Sincere's eyes were icy, his tone leaving no room for argument. I said take it, I don't make jokes. If Victoria asks, tell her to come see me directly. He knew perfectly well that Victoria had bestowed this affection on both him and Caleb simultaneously. The thought filled him with disgust. He couldn't stand even looking at it. Not long after Mary left, the lawyer, Gavin Hill, arrived with his team. He recalled their wedding years ago. Both families, confident and dominant, hadn't bothered with asset notarization or a prenuptial agreement. Back then, Victoria had declared confidently, "Oh, we're husband and wife now, why divide assets? Besides, Sincere and I would never cheat or change our hearts." Sincere had held her waist, nibbling her ear. So confident? What if you cheat? Victoria had scoffed dismissively, her eyes bright with love. Only death could make me cheat. You were the man I fell for at first sight. I can't love you enough. If I ever truly betray you, let me leave with nothing, okay? Who could have imagined that those casual words spoken in jest would become a prophecy? The legal team spent hours discussing all the details of the agreement. By the end, Sincere felt dizzy, the burn on his arm throbbing painfully. Gavin Hill, noticing Sincere's pale face, couldn't help but advise, "Mr. Windsor, you should really go to the hospital. If that wound gets infected and causes a fever, it could be serious." The lawyer hesitated, wanting to say more, but finally mustered the courage. "Mr. Windsor, once this divorce agreement is signed, it's effective. Honestly, we all felt that you and Miss Fairchild were a match made in heaven. After all, you just celebrated your wedding anniversary yesterday." Sincere gave a self-deprecating smile, remembering his first meeting with Victoria. He had been young and wild then, flitting through relationships, unwilling to settle down quickly. He vehemently resisted the blind dates arranged by his family. One day, during a loud argument with his parents, Victoria's father, Arthur Fairchild, arrived with Victoria for a visit. Seeing his rebellious, roguish demeanor and sullen face as he argued with his parents, Victoria wasn't repulsed. Instead, she burst out laughing. "Sincere Windsor, you're completely different from what I imagined." Her bright, generous, and radiant smile caught Sincere's attention. Victoria, too, was struck by him at first sight. She disliked the so-called gentlemen and noble scions, finding them pretentious. Sincere, however, was genuine, utterly without pretense. As they spent time together, they discovered their compatible values and got along exceptionally well. Both families were powerful clans and placed great importance on this union. After the engagement, their family businesses began to intertwine closely, becoming intricately linked. If not absolutely necessary, Sincere wouldn't have easily considered divorce. But now, he had nothing left to say about the marriage. After seeing the lawyers off, Sincere went to the hospital before heading to the office. The best hospital in the city had a private room reserved exclusively for him. Just as he was about to enter the room to tend to his wound, Caleb's voice suddenly came from the adjacent VIP room. "Sister-in-law, it doesn't hurt anymore. How could I trouble you to apply medicine for me? Son, if Big Brother finds out, will he come hit me too?" Then Victoria's voice followed, soothing, yet tinged with hidden anger. "He won't. He won't dare lay a hand on you because I'll be angry. Besides, he's injured too. His wound is bigger than yours. He doesn't have the energy to hit anyone. Caleb, don't be afraid. Sister-in-law, you're so good to me." Caleb's voice couldn't hide his joy. "Soon," he hissed again, "it still hurts a little. Sister-in-law, can you hug me? When I used to get hurt, my mom would always hold me and comfort me." Sincere stood outside the door, watching through the crack. He clearly saw Victoria gently comforting Caleb. He coldly snapped a picture of the jarring scene. Not long after returning to his room, he received a message from Victoria. "Darling, I left in a hurry and forgot to apply your medicine. Remember to have Mary put it on for you. Be careful not to scar. It would break my heart." Sincere replied directly, and I yelled at Mary and sent her away. "If you don't come back, there's no one to take care of me." Soon, Victoria sent a smiley face emoji. "Stop fooling around with me. I have important things to handle. I'll be back tonight to be with you. You're not a child, you can take care of yourself." Seeing this reply, Sincere felt rage boil within him. So Caleb, who was only a year younger than him, was a child needing her constant care? Sincere scoffed coldly and blocked Victoria without hesitation. Chapter 7. After leaving the hospital, Sincere went straight to the Windsor Corporation headquarters. As he headed towards the conference room, Sincere overheard employees gossiping, and just came back from the hospital area. Guess what I saw? One of those supercars. Only 3 exist globally. One belongs to our Mr. Windsor. And there was another brand new one. No idea who it's for. But I think I saw Caleb Windsor. That illegitimate son. Did he latch onto some rich sugar mama? Didn't you know? I attended Mr. Windsor's anniversary dinner yesterday. Apparently, Mrs. Windsor gave Caleb a luxury watch. A watch yesterday, a car today. Mrs. Windsor is really something. Stop talking nonsense. Everyone knows Mrs. Windsor and Mr. Windsor are deeply in love. Mrs. Windsor is as cold as an iceberg. She wouldn't give that illegitimate son the time of day. The murmurs quieted down as Sincere approached. Sincere maintained a grim expression, merely waiting for Victoria to come home tonight so she could sign the divorce papers. As the eldest son of the Windsor family, he would never force a relationship that had soured. However, during the meeting, several people received calls from Victoria. She was looking for Sincere, asking where he was. Sincere lied, saying he was at home, and dismissed Victoria before continuing with work. But then Mary called, saying Victoria had been causing a scene at home for a long time. unable to understand why Sincere had blocked her and wasn't answering her calls. Mary relayed Victoria's message. Sincere should stop acting out. A grown man still angry over a watch, it was laughable. He shouldn't cling to the issue like a child. Sincere found it utterly ridiculous. He lost all focus on work and simply called his driver to take him home first. But just as he stepped out of the company building, Caleb darted out from some corner, holding 2 cups of coffee. Sincere frowned instinctively, about to step aside, but Caleb inexplicably stumbled. The coffees in his hands went flying towards Sincere, instantly splashing stains all over him. "I'm sorry, I didn't do it on purpose." Caleb's eyes reddened slightly as he hastily and humbly apologized. The driver grew anxious. Security guards from the company entrance hurried over, pointing fingers at Caleb and shouting, "What's wrong with you? Don't you have eyes? This is Mr. Windsor. If you scalded him, you'll pay. Since you couldn't afford this coat even if you worked for 10 years. How are you going to compensate for ruining it?" Sincere remained silent while those around him verbally tore Caleb apart. Caleb knelt on the ground, looking utterly apologetic, submissive, and pitiful, a sight that would evoke sympathy from anyone. "Brother, I'm really sorry. Please don't be angry with me, okay? I just wanted to apologize. I didn't expect this. Please don't hit me, brother. I'm begging you." Hearing Caleb call him brother in public, Sincere's gaze turned cold. "I am not your brother. Shut up." This short sentence prompted agreement from those nearby. Where did this beggar come from? Claiming relations like this in the street? Mr. Windsor is the only son of the main Windsor line, the sole heir. What relations are you trying to claim? Know your place. Caleb bit his lip, looking utterly humbled. Just then, catching something in his peripheral vision, he suddenly half knelt, half crawled towards Sincere, raising his hand as if to wipe the coffee stains off his coat. "I'll wipe it clean for you right now. Please don't be angry with me, please." "Don't touch me, get away," Sincere snapped sharply. But as he turned his head, he saw Victoria standing not far away. Her brows were furrowed, her gaze filled not only with disappointment in him, but also deep disgust. Sincere instantly understood. In Victoria's eyes, he must appear aggressive, cruel, and relentless, perhaps even forcing Caleb to kneel. Looking at Caleb, still spewing apologies with exaggerated movements, clearly putting on a show for someone, Sincere immediately grasped the situation. Since, in Victoria's eyes, he was already an irredeemable, domineering, unreasonable person, and she would unhesitatingly believe Caleb no matter what happened between them. Then there was no need for him to maintain this superficial dignity. Sincere decisively took off his stained coat and disdainfully threw it in Caleb's face. "So fond of second-hand dirty things? Fine, it's yours." Chapter 8. To Victoria, such words were undoubtedly an insult directed at her. His double entendre showed utter disregard for her as his wife Victoria strode forward, intending to question Sincere. But he had already turned and entered the company building, not even giving her a chance to speak. Sincere. Victoria tried to follow, but was stopped by Daniel, who had hurried over. Annoyed, she shouted as Sincere entered the building, "Why are you always so domineering? He's your brother, not your business rival, and I am your wife, madam." Daniel couldn't stand it anymore, and interjected, "Please find out what actually happened before accusing Mr. Windsor. He did nothing just now. This gentleman was directing his own little play." Saying this, Daniel looked at Caleb with contempt. "I've never seen a man kneel so readily, so spineless. Don't you have any dignity?" Victoria forcefully pushed Daniel away. "Enough, you're just an assistant. Who gave you permission to speak about a young master of the Windsor family like that?" Daniel gave Victoria a strange look. "Madam, may I remind you, there is only one young master in the Windsor family, and that is Mr. Windsor. As for this one, Caleb, still kneeling, lowered his head further but reached out to lightly touch Victoria's fingers. "Sister-in-law, don't be angry because of me. I'm fine. As long as brother isn't angry or blaming me, I can kneel all day." Daniel nearly choked with suppressed laughter and was about to tell him to stop pretending when Victoria shoved him hard again. Everyone disperse, no more commotion. Caleb, get up. You did nothing wrong, you don't need to kneel. Caleb didn't move. Continuing his apologies, Victoria went over, pulled him up, and shielded him behind her. Daniel averted his gaze, finding the scene repulsive. As he entered the company, he added a reminder. Madam, that coat was a gift you gave Mr. Windsor for his birthday last year. It wasn't excessively expensive, but Mr. Windsor, who usually wears bespoke luxury, treasured it. Don't you understand what that means, madam? Well, now the coat is ruined. Doesn't Mr. Windsor even have the right to be angry? Fortunately, Mr. Windsor is decisive. Soiled clothes and other things, he wants no part of them anymore. Daniel left, leaving Victoria stunned. She looked at the coat on the ground, then at Caleb's red-rimmed eyes. Before Victoria could ask, Caleb began explaining. I came to apologize to Big Brother, but those security guards tripped me. The coffee accidentally spilled on his clothes. I offered to wash it for him, but he got so angry he made me kneel. So Sincere had made Caleb kneel. He really was domineering and unreasonable, though it was because his gesture of love had been defiled. Victoria said nothing, but a gentle smile touched her lips. Inside the office, Sincere listened to Daniel's report, his anger still simmering. Caleb's every action and personality trait seemed deliberately contrary to Sincere's. He was insecure, cowardly, utterly lacking self-respect, and this very trait evoked sympathy from many who didn't know the truth. Sincere just couldn't understand others being deceived was one thing, but Victoria, an heiress of the Fairchild family, possessing intelligence and perspective, how could she be fooled by such low-level acting? Just as he reached for coffee to calm himself, his secretary knocked and entered. Madame has arrived with lunch, just like always. Mr. Windsor and Madame are as loving as ever. Was this behavior considered loving? Sincere recalled the time he received a love letter. Victoria had reacted as if facing a major threat, appearing at the company every day to bring him lunch, scrutinizing every woman with assessing eyes, staking her claim over him. He had once said, Victoria, trust me, I only love you. How could I possibly be interested in other women? But Victoria had pouted coquettishly. I don't believe a man's words. I bet you'll change your mind eventually. You're not like me. I'm the one who will love you forever. Yet now. Her words had become the biggest joke. Chapter. When Victoria came to deliver lunch, neither security nor the assistant would stop her. Everyone knew Victoria had appeared daily for years, impeccably dressed, bringing beautifully prepared lunchboxes that clearly showed effort. Every man in the company envied Sincere Windsor. To make such a high-status heiress take cooking classes for love, preparing loving lunches day after day for 3 years, she was truly a goddess wife. They were a divine couple. In the past, Sincere would have been waiting eagerly at his office door. It was a sign of respect and love he showed Victoria, but today he didn't want to see her. Yet the office door had already opened. Sincere looked up and saw not just Victoria but Caleb standing behind her. His heart plummeted instantly. The veins on the hand gripping his documents bulged. Victoria, however, acted as if she hadn't seen his fury and led Caleb inside. After all, she was here to clear things up. Caleb stepped forward obediently. Brother, I'm sorry. I was too impulsive this morning. I had to apologize to you in person. And about last night, I'm sorry. Caleb's face was still swollen from where the security guard had hit him earlier, and his hand had scrapes from the fall. He deliberately hadn't changed clothes, presenting a pitiful image before Sincere. His hypocrisy practically screamed for Sincere to tear off his mask. Victoria raised her hand, gesturing for Caleb to step aside. She took a deep breath, her tone gentle as moonlight. Darling, Caleb came specifically to apologize. Shouldn't you give him a chance to change? I also understand why you were angry today. Darling, thank you. But Caleb just habitually called you brother, yet you humiliated him in public. If others find out, it will only damage your reputation and the Windsor family's." She could say these things and still claim she understood why he was angry. Sincere pushed the lunchbox away with a cold face, looking at Victoria with a mocking smile. "Miss Fairchild, since when are you so concerned about Windsor family matters? If I recall correctly, you visited the Windsor estate only a handful of times. You even skipped the New Year's Eve family banquet for a party. Back then, why didn't you care about others gossiping about the Windsors? And now, an illegitimate son suffers a slight grievance. And you raise such a fuss." The smile froze on Victoria's face. She retorted, "Well, must you treat your own brother this way?" Seeing Caleb hiding behind Victoria, sowing discord while playing the submissive victim, Sincere spoke plainly. "He's merely a product of my father's inability to keep his pants on. Does he even deserve to be called my brother? Caleb's delusional attempts to leech off us only disgust me." The ugly truth made Victoria's eyes widen in disbelief at Sincere's harsh words. Caleb, full of humiliation, suddenly dropped to his knees again with a thud. "I'm sorry, it's my fault for being lowly, for craving affection, for foolishly trying to gain a brother by clinging. This is all my fault. But Mr. Windsor, please don't blame sister-in-law. I didn't mean to cause arguments between you." One act after another, clearly well rehearsed, Sincere sneered, looking coldly at Victoria. But one protects an illegitimate brother in front of her husband. The other calls him brother while clinging to sister-in-law. You two really are a perfect match. Sincere threw the object in his hand, hitting Caleb squarely in the face. Humiliated tears streamed down Caleb's face while Victoria looked on, utterly incredulous. "Sincere Windsor, how can you be so utterly caustic? And not only are your words filthy, but your heart is even filthier." Chapter. For the first time in her life, Victoria stormed out, slamming the door despite Sincere's fury. Outside the office, employees whispered, "Why did Madam leave holding Caleb's hand? Is it true what they're saying, that Madam and Caleb—" But don't talk nonsense. You newcomers don't know Madam's personality. She loves fiercely and hates fiercely. She's completely devoted to Mr. Windsor. A devoted person holds hands intimately with the Windsor family's illegitimate son. Really? Did you see it? Absolutely. They walked right past me. Oh my God, Mr. Windsor has been cheated on? The entire office was buzzing. When Daniel walked in with coffee, Sincere had just finished a call. Daniel put the coffee down, offering comfort. Women need coaxing. Even strong women like Madam have a softer side. "Mr. Windsor, don't be angry. You really should call Madam back. It's a prestigious lady like Madam always hanging around with low-class riffraff. Maybe Madam is just too soft-hearted." Sincere said nothing, his face only growing colder. He took a sip of the coffee, sour and bitter, a complex mix mirroring his mood. He didn't tell Daniel that the call had been to his lawyer, Gavin Hill. He regretted being lenient in the asset division. He should make Victoria repay every cent she spent on Caleb. When Gavin delivered the revised asset division proposal, he couldn't help but advise, "Mr. Windsor, you and Caleb represent two extremes. The more aggressive and sharp-edged you are, the more you'll trigger Madam's protective instincts towards Caleb, the perceived weaker party. This will only push Madam further away." Sincere, holding an unlit cigarette, shook his head. "If she still loved me, no matter what I did, she would stand by my side, not repeatedly fight with him for Caleb, mock him for being a high and mighty young master, rude and violent. Ultimately, it boiled down to Victoria's love having shifted elsewhere." Gavin looked at Caleb's face on the monitor brought up by the investigation. "While investigating your illegitimate brother, the entire legal team nearly mistook him for you, and blood ties can't be erased. His eyes, the shape around them. He's practically cast from the same mold as you. Especially when he smiles, the resemblance is even stronger." Gavin stated the truth he perceived plainly. "Ultimately, the man Madam sees is still you. I suspect Madam is just captivated by a novelty for the moment." Sincere watched the surveillance footage. Since when had Caleb gone from having slightly similar eyes to being his near-spitting image? He had a sudden realization. Caleb was deliberately mimicking him, intentionally imitating him, a clown, poorly imitating his superior, had easily stolen Victoria's heart simply because he could act pitiful. Sincere was still furious, yet perhaps not as impulsive as before. He calmly closed the laptop. Even if it's just an imposter, her falling for Caleb is an undeniable fact. You don't need to make excuses for her anymore. In Victoria's eyes, he was clearly the dominant, cold one, incomparable to Caleb's gentleness and whining. Gavin lowered his head, sighing softly. I understand, Mr. Windsor. Going forward, if Ms. Fairchild spends any more money on Caleb, I will record every transaction and ensure Caleb repays it all. The lawyer had already changed his address for Victoria, now referred to as Miss Fairchild, and continued working on the divorce settlement. A divorce between two major wealthy families was a truly damaging affair. Before leaving, Gavin asked when this matter would be made public. Sincere's eyes darkened. An annual family gala is in half a month. The Fairchilds will all attend the Windsor family banquet. On that day I will announce it. It was supposed to be a time for reunion. Instead, it would be the day of their separation. Chapter 11. Sincere's first act upon returning home was to instruct Mary, the housekeeper, to pack up and move. This marital home was filled with Victoria's presence. He wouldn't live here anymore. Mary also sensed something strange. Madame returned this afternoon very angry, took her suitcase, and left. I don't know where she went, and she hasn't come back. When Madame was cooking lunch, she mentioned having the best ingredients flown in from Japan, saying she'd make you Japanese cuisine tonight. Sir, did you two have a fight? Madame can be strong-willed sometimes, but she's very good to you, and especially patient. You don't know, last time you were drunk and vomiting terribly, Madame didn't sleep all night, just watched over you. When I told her to rest, she said seeing your stomach hurt made her heart ache. Such a loving couple rarely fought. Mary couldn't fathom what had happened to make Madame so furious. Sincere didn't reply, merely instructing Mary to pack her things and move to another villa with him. That evening, Sincere was tagged frequently in the Windsor Younger Generations group chat. Shenji, what's Caleb doing at your place? I went to drop something off and almost died of anger when I saw him. That shameless bastard is even using Shenji's bowls and chopsticks, Tinsy eating alone. Does someone of his status deserve such high-end sushi and sukiyaki? Shenji, you can't go soft on Caleb. I investigated him last time. His private life is a mess. He specifically sucks up to rich older women, just like his mother, absolutely spineless. Sister-in-law is there too, but Shenji isn't home. Shenji, come back quickly. Caleb being in this house makes this $100 million mansion feel dirty. Rich, older women. Wasn't that Victoria? He had only been gone half an hour, and Victoria had already brought Caleb over. Sincere replied to the messages with a cold smile, asking his cousin to help flip the dining table. Shenji, is that really okay? Sincere simply replied, Since that villa is already tainted, making it messier doesn't matter. Flip the table. If Victoria gives you trouble, tell her I told you to do it. Within the Windsor family, apart from the unfaithful Richard Windsor, everyone was united. Especially when Sincere spoke, everyone listened. Watching the surveillance feed, Sincere saw the chaos on the dining table. His cousin flipped it and ran, shouting parting words. Eat now. Caleb, the sushi's all soft, just your style. Victoria's face flushed red, then turned pale. If Caleb hadn't held her back, she would surely have chased after the insolent younger relative to teach him a lesson. And sister-in-law, it's not worth it. For me, Caleb kept his head bowed low and actually knelt to pick up the food from the floor. Victoria quickly knelt beside him. They spoke softly. Sincere couldn't hear what they were saying. When they stood up again, Caleb's eyes were full of tears. Sister-in-law, I've never eaten anything so delicious. Thank you so much. You made me feel loved. Caleb, let's not talk about this. Victoria interrupted Caleb, then looked angrily towards the indoor camera. Sincere Windsor, I know you orchestrated this, you humiliated me first. I thought you'd come coax me, but I waited all evening without a single call from you. Now I'm back, and you treat me like this. Then you should seriously reflect on yourself. I don't remember falling in love with an unreasonable man driven mad by jealousy. Victoria finished speaking and led Caleb away. Just as Sincere was about to turn off the monitor, Caleb lifted his handsome eyes, looked directly at the camera, and a triumphant smile spread across his lips. He even mouthed silently, "So what if I'm illegitimate? Brother, everything you possess will be mine sooner or later." Chapter 12. Caleb knew Sincere couldn't read lips, otherwise he wouldn't have dared say that. But he was foolish and underestimated others' intelligence. Sincere forwarded the clip to a friend who called back immediately, furious. "Shengji, do you want us brothers to go teach that bastard Caleb a lesson?" Understanding the implication, Sincere actually chuckled. He wouldn't let anyone else touch Caleb. This scum was his to deal with. However, he did have a task for his friend. Come join the fun at the Windsor family's annual gala. After all, it would be the last reunion for the Windsor and Fairchild families. During the next half-month, Victoria never returned to the marital home, nor did she stay at the Fairchild residence. From screenshots shared by cousins, Sincere learned that Victoria had taken Caleb traveling to relax. On Caleb's social media, he seemed determined to showcase his blissful life 24 hours a day. Today, whisked away to a cruise ship gala by the female CEO. Tomorrow, thanks to the female CEO, riding a hot air balloon to watch the sunrise. The day after, donning a custom-made suit from a top international designer brand, and so on, frequenting high-end venues, dining on expensive cuisine, viewing the northern lights, even visiting must-see romantic destinations for couples. Caleb profusely thanked the female CEO, but in reality, every post was a provocation aimed at Sincere. Many younger relatives saw through it, questioning, "How can sister-in-law tolerate this dog humiliating you like this?" It wasn't just the siblings. Even colleagues at the company had heard about it, gossiping daily about Sincere being cuckolded by the illegitimate son Caleb. "Don't let Mr. Windsor hear you saying this. He has a bad temper. Be careful he doesn't get angry." But Sincere had heard these comments so often over the past half-month, his ears felt calloused. Usually hot-tempered, he appeared remarkably calm about this matter. Now, he only waited for the family gala in 2 days to completely sever his ties with Victoria. However, the very next day, Sincere saw something unexpected. A sealed file folder appeared on his desk, marked "Must be opened by Sincere Windsor personally." Daniel explained, and was dropped off at the company front desk early this morning, marked as a confidential urgent document. "There's no sender's name, we don't know who sent it." Sincere felt a sense of unease. He opened the folder. A stack of photos and a CD fell out. The subjects of the photos were Caleb and Victoria. Sincere's hand trembled violently. He froze, momentarily unable to move. Looking at the photos, the two leaning against a car, their lips drawing closer and closer. Caleb carrying Victoria princess style, their posture intimate. He helped her into the back seat. Victoria didn't resist. Caleb also took off his clothes and got into the car. Sincere's brow tightened. He couldn't remember how he managed to play the CD. On the disc, although only a blurry long shot, one could still see Victoria's Rolls-Royce rocking unnaturally up and down under the dim streetlights. Getting it on in the car, they were quite daring. Sincere's mind went blank for a few seconds, then he slammed his fist into the screen. He yelled for Daniel. "Check the surveillance, find out who sent this." Daniel didn't have time to ask questions, only seeing the blood covering the back of Sincere's hand. In Sincere's clipped words, every syllable trembled violently. A chill lingered deep within Sincere, refusing to dissipate. Gavin Hill rushed over. Seeing the ironclad evidence of infidelity, he shook his head and sighed. Such targeted filming. Most likely it was orchestrated by your illegitimate brother himself. It seemed Caleb couldn't wait to steal Victoria away, this unstable pillar of Sincere's life. Sincere lowered his head, applying medicine to his wound, no longer caring about the matter. Victoria had long since become another man's woman. Soiled, second-hand goods just like that coat should be given to Caleb. And just at that moment, Sincere's phone rang. Chapter 13. Gavin glanced at the caller ID, a very expensive-looking number. Such flamboyant numbers were likely something only an heiress like Victoria Fairchild would acquire. Presumably, Mr. Windsor had blocked Miss Fairchild's number, so she was using a new one. Ines Fairchild has been away for over 10 days. Has she finally returned? Once and Mr. Windsor, perhaps you should answer. What if it's something important? What could be so important? If it were truly urgent, why hadn't she contacted him in half a month? Sincere tossed the phone to Gavin. I'll take it. Remember to inform Victoria not to forget the annual family gala. Gavin wanted to say more, but Sincere had already stood up and gone to the restroom. Upon answering, Gavin heard Victoria's voice. She sounded cheerful, her tone bright. Oh, darling, have you cooled down a bit lately? Have you missed me? I just got off the plane. I went traveling for a few days. I bought you a very special gift from Norway. It's a handmade brooch. I made the bead myself and even used a strand of my hair. Do you know the story behind that? It symbolizes a lock of my hair to bind your heart. Our love never doubts. Are you at home or the office? I'll come find you right now. I've missed you, darling. Gavin cleared his throat a few times. The voice on the other end instantly turned sharp. Who are you? Why do you have my husband's phone? And name's Fairchild. This is Gavin Hill. Mr. Windsor stepped away to the restroom, so I answered for him. Mr. Windsor seems to be leaving on a business trip shortly. You wouldn't catch him if you came to the office. Victoria's voice clearly dropped with disappointment. Is that so? The gala is almost here, and he's going on a business trip instead of spending time with me? She is. That's the situation. Mr. Windsor will be present at the annual family gala. I hear he has prepared a gift for you as well. Miss Fairchild, you absolutely must come, Victoria agreed, hanging up in high spirits. Caleb approached her side, asking, Sister-in-law, did Big Brother agree to let me work at his company? The smile on Victoria's face faded slightly. After a thought, she took Caleb to the Fairchild Corporation instead. When Sincere emerged from the restroom and asked what Victoria had said, Gavin considered. And Miss Fairchild mentioned buying you a brooch brought back from Norway. Sincere waved him away to get back to work. Half an hour later, he heard Daniel report Miss Fairchild took Caleb to the Fairchild Group and she gave him a high-level position as director. Sincere wasn't surprised anymore. Men and women were the same. When they liked someone, they'd give everything. For Victoria to ensure Caleb lived a better life and integrated into high society, wasn't arranging a respectable job for him the natural step? Fortunately, the divorce was imminent, and some collaborations with the Fairchild family would also be terminated. No need to concern ourselves with them. Just wait for the gala, and everything would be over. However, Sincere hadn't expected Caleb to dare show up again. He stood outside the company wearing a very expensive coat, a cross-shaped brooch pinned to his chest. Bro. Meeting Sincere's displeased, warning gaze, Caleb corrected himself. And Mr. Windsor, I'm here to invite you. Tonight is my onboarding celebration dinner. Father will be there too. Please come, won't you? Daniel stood beside Sincere, speaking coldly. Hot, disgusting people here. What does your onboarding dinner have to do with Mr. Windsor? Get lost. Don't look for trouble. Caleb didn't speak, just lowered his head and wiped the brooch on his chest. How could it be unrelated? The same blood flows in my veins and my brother's. We are both children of the Windsor family, real brothers. Sincere beckoned Caleb closer with a finger. Caleb feared Sincere might strike him, but seeing Victoria's car approach, he strode forward boldly, only to hear Sincere's calm voice. My mother is a diplomat. Your mother was a bar hostess. The son born to the legitimate wife is called the young master. The child born to a mistress is called a bastard. In the Windsor family, only I have the right to speak. A bastard is not worthy of opening his mouth, let alone stepping foot into the Windsor mansion. Caleb, as long as I don't acknowledge you, you will forever be a bastard living in the shadows. Caleb pressed his lips together tightly, then pulled a knife from his pocket. Just as Daniel thought he was about to harm Sincere and prepared to intervene, Caleb plunged the knife into his own side and collapsed to the ground with a thud. Chapter 14. It all happened too fast. By the time Caleb clutched his stomach, crying out in pain, Daniel finally reacted. He stamped his foot in anger. What a low-class piece of work staging an injury like this. Do you take everyone for fools? Get lost already. Why didn't you stab yourself in the heart with that knife? Stop pretending. However, the next second, Victoria walked over and slapped Daniel squarely across the face, her eyes blazed with fury and disbelief. Sincere Windsor, this is your special assistant? He actually spoke to Caleb like that. Saying this, Victoria knelt to quickly examine Caleb's wound. It wasn't serious, but it was bleeding, staining his white wool sweater red. Before Victoria could ask who did it, Caleb grabbed her hand, shaking his head. Sister-in-law, don't say anything. My brother calling me a bastard, I accept it. He really should have killed me. My existence is a stain on the Windsor family. This statement clearly implied to Victoria that Sincere had wielded the knife. Victoria's body went cold, especially hearing Caleb's incredibly humble and pitiful words. Honestly, if I could choose, I wish I could have strangled myself at birth. It would be better if I wasn't born. But back then, I didn't know my mother would be so disgraceful. Am I really a bastard? But when my mother was alive, she would call me Little Caleb. Tears rolled down Caleb's face. Daniel was so angry his outstretched hand trembled. Stop playing the victim, weren't you just stabbing yourself? Miss Fairchild, you didn't see it, but I did. How can you believe Caleb's words alone? But Mr. Windsor, Daniel urgently called to Sincere. Mr. Windsor, explain quickly. Don't let Miss Fairchild misunderstand. I'll call security right now. From now on, Caleb Windsor is forbidden within 10 miles of this company. Victoria helped Caleb stand, her eyes filled with more than just anger now. Are you two done yet? Sincere Windsor, I never thought you could lie so smoothly without a hint of guilt or unease. I don't believe Caleb would harm himself. He's not an idiot. I only trust what I saw. What I know is that Caleb has always been humble and accommodating towards you, while you don't even treat him like a normal person. Sincere Windsor, I thought this past half-month would have calmed you down. I expected too much from you. Victoria put her arm around Caleb to leave, worried about his injury and wanting to take him to the hospital. Behind them, Sincere, who had been silent, finally spoke. Victoria, we've known each other for 6 years. You should know what kind of person I am, and I only admit to things I have actually done. Saying this, Sincere kicked Caleb squarely in the back. Caleb stumbled and fell hard. The previous pain was faked, but this was real agony. His spine screamed in protest. Caleb curled up pitifully, crying out Victoria's name. Victoria saw red. Ignoring the crowd of onlookers, she strode forward and threw a punch at Sincere's body as she raised her arm again. She was stopped by security guards. Sincere's eyes were cold as frost. This is the first time you've laid a hand on me. It will also be the last. He turned and walked away. Victoria felt her heart skip a beat inexplicably. Surrounded by disapproving murmurs, Victoria snapped, "Oh, get back to work." What are you staring at? Haven't you seen a couple argue before? A bold senior executive dared to ask. Miss Fairchild, are you and Mr. Windsor having problems? There are rumors circulating in the company that you're separating. This accusation made Victoria instantly retort. He was my first love. I'm the woman who made him settle down. Sincere and I love each other deeply. How could we possibly separate? Chapter 15. Victoria spoke with absolute confidence. So, others were somewhat inclined to believe her. After all, before meeting Victoria, Mr. Windsor had indeed dated quite a few women. He was rich, handsome, and accomplished. His girlfriends were progressively kind and good people. During their relationships, Mr. Windsor always gave his girlfriends the best, not just materially, but also supporting their careers and reputations, helping them become better versions of themselves. That's why, even after breaking up, none of the women he dated ever spoke ill of Sincere Windsor. Back then, everyone thought Sincere would never settle down. He had the title of un-national husband. Why would he give up an entire field of flowers for one woman? However, Victoria Fairchild appeared. She wasn't the most beautiful or the best among those Sincere had dated, but she captured his heart deeply. After 3 years together, they married. On their wedding day, countless socialites were heartbroken. Since then, there were no other women in Sincere's life. His assistant team consisted entirely of men, prompting friends to joke that his company was more like a monastery. Mr. Windsor was devoted, his heart belonging solely to Miss Fairchild. But Miss Fairchild is excessively good to Caleb. Doesn't she consider Mr. Windsor's feelings? If I were Mr. Windsor, I'd feel cheated on. Speaking of which, did Mr. Windsor really attack Caleb with a knife? What? Didn't you hear the assistant? Caleb was acting. 2 people just went to check the security footage. We'll know if Caleb staged it once we see the recording. So why didn't Miss Fairchild check the evidence herself, instead of suspecting Mr. Windsor? In my opinion, someone's loyalty has shifted. Back at the villa, someone reported to Sincere, and I heard Caleb needed 5 stitches. The doctor's hand trembled slightly while stitching him up, and Victoria got so angry she told the doctor to get lost. What on earth is going on, Sincere? Did your wife really run off with someone else? Big news, Victoria went to a real estate company tonight and bought a sprawling penthouse apartment. Shenji, don't keep it bottled up. You still have us brothers. Sincere put down his phone and picked up the agreement Gavin had delivered. A thick stack of papers, everything had been sorted out. Picking up his usual pen, Sincere remembered Victoria had once stolen it. When she returned it later, it had an inscription. Victoria loves Sincere, forever true. Back then, Victoria had playfully said, when we have a baby later, let's name him Shen Yu, or maybe Shen Yi, symbolizing our love. Always as one. Note Shen Yi sounds like meaning always as one. He would pull Victoria into his arms, kiss her fiercely, indulge her possessiveness, tolerate her jealousy. He would give Victoria the best and cherish everything. Just like this fountain pen, broken countless times and repaired, he had never replaced it. And now the pen engraved with their names was used to sign his own name on the divorce agreement. The pen snapped and was tossed into the trash. Sincere called the Windsor estate. Tomorrow's family gala must be lively and grand. The night of the gala arrived swiftly. Many people attended. After a romantic and dazzling fireworks display, the banquet officially began. Victoria appeared wearing a starlit evening gown, but beside her stood Caleb Windsor. The venue quieted somewhat. Victoria walked in composedly, introducing Caleb to everyone. Finally, she approached Sincere's parents, Richard and Margaret Windsor. No matter what, Caleb carries father-in-law's blood. Please give Caleb a chance to show his filial piety. When his career takes off, he will assist Sincere and help the Windsor family prosper. The younger Windsor relative stared intently at Victoria and Caleb. She was clearly backing Caleb, trying to usher him into the Windsor family's main door. And this act was a direct slap in the face to Sincere Windsor, Chapter 16. Sincere was also surprised that Victoria had brought Caleb here. An illegitimate presence at the Windsor family gala was like a sewer rat under the spotlight, utterly out of place. Richard Windsor wasn't particularly fond of Caleb, but he was his son. Coupled with the presence of other guests and the lavish gifts Caleb brought, Caleb presented an envelope. "Dad, Mom, I bought you tickets for a round-the-world cruise. Go enjoy yourselves. I'll help brother manage everything at home." Margaret Windsor scoffed coldly and turned away. Richard Windsor reluctantly accepted the gift, even managing a smile for Caleb, mostly out of consideration for Victoria. The gifts Caleb brought piled up into a small mountain. He certainly didn't have that kind of money himself. Sincere looked at Victoria, knowing she was the one pulling the strings, supporting Caleb from behind the scenes. He let out a derisive smile, meeting Victoria's gaze. Her eyes held an ambiguous darkness. After a moment, she looked away. Margaret had already joined her son, whispering, "Why didn't you have someone throw Caleb out?" "What does his presence signify? It's an insult to the Windsor family." Sincere's voice wasn't loud, but everyone present could hear him. "Since he's here, let him stay. The Windsor staff have their own dining table. Guests should be treated hospitably. How can we kick him out? Let him have a table to himself. After all, if he sat with others, I fear they might find it distasteful." The volume wasn't high, but the insult was potent. Victoria looked at Sincere. This time it was he who didn't avoid her gaze. For Caleb's sake, Victoria defiantly sat down with him. The Fairchild family members followed suit. In such a setting, they couldn't let their daughter lose face. During this time, Sincere and Victoria didn't exchange another word. The Windsor family sat at the adjacent table. Throughout the meal, Caleb continually served Victoria food, even thoughtfully peeling shrimp for her. The younger Windsor relatives all watched Sincere, but he remained unnervingly calm. Their faces darkened, but in this formal setting they could only simmer with unspoken anger. Caleb saw everything, unable to contain his smug, triumphant smirk. He peeled another shrimp and offered it to Victoria, speaking loud enough for Sincere to hear, as sister-in-law. "You love the shrimp I peel for you the most, right? I'll peel them for you for a lifetime." What man could tolerate this? The cousin sitting next to Sincere clenched his fists. "Brother, I can't take it anymore. I'm going to deal with Caleb right now." Sincere pressed his hand down. He wouldn't let Caleb savor his triumph for long. As the atmosphere grew increasingly awkward, Sincere wiped his hands, took a sip of tea, rose, and slowly walked behind Victoria, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Since everyone is having such an unpleasant meal, let's pause for a moment. I have an important announcement to make." Everyone from the Windsor family, including Sincere's friends, looked over, their faces filled with anticipation, believing Sincere was finally about to put Caleb in his place. The evening had been incredibly frustrating. For someone with Sincere's temperament to endure until now showcased the dignity befitting the sole heir of the Windsor family. But the other siblings didn't want to endure it. Caleb was provoking the entire Windsor clan. Hearing Sincere announce something important, everyone grew excited. Someone even clapped enthusiastically. "Wow, is sister-in-law pregnant? Shenji, congratulations in advance." Amidst the rising anticipation, Sincere met Victoria's puzzled gaze and announced calmly, "I am divorcing Victoria Fairchild. Miss Fairchild, please sign here." Chapter 17. Seeing the divorce agreement presented, a bizarre silence instantly fell over the venue. Victoria rubbed her eyes, confirming she hadn't misread the words. Divorce agreement. Sincere wanted to divorce her? Victoria's mother, Eleanor Fairchild, was the first to react, slamming down her plate and rising to question Sincere. "Sincere, divorce is not a game. How can you unilaterally propose divorce? What do you take Victoria's love for you for? I think your old habits are resurfacing. So where do you place the dignity of our Fairchild family? Take this thing back immediately and I'll pretend this never happened." Her words snapped everyone else back to reality. No one had expected Sincere's important announcement to be so explosive. Victoria's blank mind regained focus. She took a deep breath, her face etched with humiliation and embarrassment. She slammed her hand on the table, stood up and pointed at Sincere's nose. "Sincere Windsor, can you stop being so childish? Stop acting like a bitter woman, constantly bringing up divorce. You're still angry with me today. All because of that watch on our anniversary, right? I felt sorry for Caleb and gave him a watch, and you've held on to it until today, making a huge deal out of nothing. Don't you find it ridiculous? Owen, you're a man. Shouldn't you be more magnanimous? Is Caleb a stranger? He's your half-brother, and Sanai even went abroad specifically to give you space to calm down. I thought you'd regain your senses, but you're still acting so absurdly. Now using divorce to threaten me. To sincere Windsor, aren't you afraid of becoming a laughingstock amidst the tense standoff? Even Richard Windsor flushed red, sternly reminding sincere divorce is not a game. Don't joke around here. Today is a family banquet. No one will gossip outside. But don't mention it again. You and Victoria have such a good relationship. What is all this fuss about? Hearing this, Sincere looked towards Caleb. Caleb was biting into a piece of foie gras on his fork. Meeting Sincere's sharp gaze, he smirked, his eyes glinting with triumph. Caleb's smugness prompted Sincere to snap his fingers. Daniel, who had been waiting, brought forward the requested items and turned on the projector screen. The photos and videos appeared one by one. Sis is the reason for my divorce. Ms. Fairchild, do you have anything else to say? Everyone turned towards the large screen. The scandalous, explicit scenes were displayed publicly. They witnessed Caleb carrying Victoria into the car shaking violently for a full 20 minutes. The faces of the Fairchild family turned deathly pale. In that instant, all questioning gazes fell upon them. Shock flashed across Victoria's face, yet there was no hint of shame or embarrassment. Instead, she stared incredulously at the photos, erupting in fury. Sincere Windsor, are you crazy? Have I ever wronged you in all these years for you to slander me with these fake photos? And aren't you the one who cheated? Now you turn the tables, resorting to anything to divorce me. And turn this stuff off, this isn't real. Victoria vehemently denied everything, shifting all blame onto Sincere. He remained expressionless as he dropped dozens of plane tickets onto the table. But you were the one gallivanting around the world with Caleb. You dare do it but not admit it? Is this still the great Miss Fairchild? Whether you did it or not, you and Caleb know best. Victoria, you should truly be thankful that I never hit women. Previously, Caleb would have started playing the pitiful, innocent victim. But now, he sat there, arms crossed, calmly watching the drama unfold. Before Victoria could speak, her mother strode over, grabbing her daughter's arm, her voice filled with resentment. Explain yourself clearly, is this true or not? How could I have raised such a shameless daughter? Do you know what this marriage alliance with the Windsors means if you divorce? What will happen? Thinking of the impending severance of ties with the powerful Windsor family, Eleanor Fairchild, overwhelmed, slapped Victoria across the face. Stunned, Victoria clutched her cheek, taking a moment before jolting as if remembering something, then sharply turned towards Caleb. I clearly never did anything indecent with you who fabricated these photos and videos. Sincere, shouldn't you investigate properly before making such absurd claims? Are you framing me, or is someone else trying to harm me? Chapter 18. Only Victoria's anguished shouts echoed through the dining hall. Her question prompted Caleb, still feigning composure, to stand up, pointing a trembling finger at Sincere. Sister-in-law, I don't know anything. Why do these things exist? Did Mr. Windsor intentionally hire someone to secretly film this and reveal it on such an occasion? How? How could he do this to you? Even now, Caleb tried to shift the blame, but Victoria's mind seemed to clear somewhat. Unswayed by Caleb's words, she keenly pressed forward, grabbing his arm and demanding, saying you really carried me into the car and then, but I don't remember any of it. Caleb's face filled with bitterness. He adopted the guise of a fellow victim, digging his nails forcefully into his palms, his face pale. Sister-in-law, of course, you don't remember. You were drunk that day. He choked back a sob, not forgetting to dab at the corner of his eye. You mistook me for Big Brother, kept calling his name, and constantly tried to kiss me. Everyone stared intently at Caleb, desperate to understand the full story. Victoria clutched his shoulders even more urgently. "Hurry up and explain clearly." Caleb, eyes red, began to distance himself from responsibility. "I kept trying to explain to you. I'm not Sincere Windsor. I'm Caleb, his brother. And you wouldn't listen. You begged me to take you, insisting it had to be in the car, even initiating the kiss yourself." Finally, Caleb lowered his head, apologizing profusely. "I tried to push you away, but sister-in-law, you were very strong and very obsessed with me." A collective gasp went through the crowd, finding it hard to imagine what transpired during those 20 minutes in the car. When had Sincere found out? To endure it until today before revealing it. He must have done so out of consideration for their marriage, avoiding a media scandal, not ruining Victoria completely. Victoria closed her eyes in despair, feeling the world spin, nearly fainting. Impossible. How could I mistake you for Sincere? No matter how much pity I felt for you, I would never want to sleep with you. You're just an illegitimate son. Everyone looks down on. I know that better than anyone. Are you lying? I only felt pity for you. Never anything else. You constantly played the victim in front of me, preying on my soft heart. Now it seems you're nothing but a lying bastard. The scene erupted into even greater chaos. Everyone knew Victoria had always protected Caleb, even calling Sincere harsh and cold for his treatment of him. And now, she was calling him a bastard, looking like she wanted to kill him. Caleb's shoulders slumped. His clenched fists relaxed. He knelt on the floor, weeping, then unbuttoned his collar to reveal kiss marks on his neck. "Sister-in-law, your marks from that day are still here. If you're angry, hit me. It was my fault. But no matter how angry you are, be careful of the baby in your belly. Don't let anything happen to our child." Victoria froze, stumbling backward. She looked down at her stomach, shouting, "It's impossible. Sanchez, you're framing me Sincere. Don't believe a word he says. He's framing me." Sincere's expression remained impassive. "Have you made enough of a scene, Victoria?" Beside him, the Windsor younger generation looked on with utter disgust. Someone even asked directly, "What do you call the bastard's child?" Little bastard? One never thought Victoria was this kind of person. Even dirtier than Caleb. And just sign the papers already. "Stop dragging our Windsor family down, please." "Shenji, no wonder you went drinking the other day. If I were you, I would have kicked them out long ago. You actually put up with it. Windsor and Fairchild family. I think they're finished." Chapter 19. Amidst the chorus of criticism, Caleb tried to stand but was forcefully held down. "Stay kneeling. Do you think you deserve to stand up and speak?" Sunny knew Caleb was shameless long ago. He seems to go for beauty treatments often. How is his face becoming more and more like Shen-Ji's? So if it weren't for Caleb, sister-in-law, and Shen-Ji wouldn't be in this mess today. Just beat him to death. Caleb was indeed beaten by the cousins right there on the ground. This time, no one protected him. He had always believed his illegitimacy was the reason for rejection, ignoring his own dark heart and disgusting actions. Victoria didn't spare Caleb a glance. She dug her nails into her palms, forcing herself to calm down. After a moment, she looked pleadingly at Sincere. "Darling, the reason I favored Caleb so much was because I saw your shadow in him. I fantasized about finding the tenderness in him that you lack. I treated him as you, couldn't bear to see you humbled, couldn't bear to see you kneel. But no matter how foolish I was, I knew Caleb wasn't you. I love you, Sincere, never Caleb." Victoria, always proud and aloof, humbled herself before hundreds of people, bowing slightly, tears streaming down her face. "I wouldn't confuse you and Caleb, and I could never betray our relationship to be with him. Darling, you have to believe me, I love you so much." Sincere sharply knocked away Victoria's outstretched hand. He stepped back, creating a definitive distance between them. "Stop using such a cliché excuse like substitute to cover up your transferred affections. If you truly loved me wholeheartedly with eyes only for me, you wouldn't have been deceived by Caleb's despicable tricks. Whether you actually did anything or not is unimportant. What's important is that I have completely lost faith in you. This marriage is over. I am divorcing you." With every word Sincere spoke, Victoria's expression twisted further in pain. Hearing the end, she bit her lower lip so hard that traces of blood appeared. Suppressing her inner turmoil, Victoria remained defiant. "I know you're angry. Please give me a chance to make amends, okay? And don't believe you can be so heartless, so cold towards me." Victoria spread her arms, wanting desperately to embrace the man she loved most. "Don't be angry. Please don't retaliate against me. Darling, let's put everything behind us. I won't look at Caleb again. Let's be okay. Please stop scaring me. I won't divorce you, don't. You remember on our wedding night, under the phoenix tree at the Windsor estate, we vowed eternal love and fidelity, never to betray each other. How can you give up on me halfway?" Victoria couldn't reach Sincere. He kept his distance. Tears rolled down her cheeks, yet she stubbornly tried to salvage the situation. Those who break their vows are punished. Sincere, stop this nonsense. Victoria, who always valued dignity above all, ignored the whispers and stares, wanting only to fight with all her might to win Sincere back. "After I angrily told you we needed space that day, I regretted it almost immediately. But my pride wouldn't let me lower my head and seek reconciliation." Tears streamed down Victoria's face, her voice and body trembling pitifully. Bringing him to the company, even taking him on trips, bringing him here today. It was all just to make you jealous, to provoke that dominant side of yours, to pull me back to your side. I thought after your jealousy you'd understand that I also craved your gentle and considerate side. It was me. I was too childish. Victoria's explanation prompted others to jump in. "Enough, stop making excuses. Don't you sound ridiculous? Victoria, have you forgotten your wedding? When Sincere personally embroidered your bridal veil. A grown man picking up a needle for the first time, his hands covered in blood, sewing for a week for you. Why couldn't you see his tenderness and consideration then? Betrayal is betrayal. Stop making excuses." And Sincere Windsor is known for being decisive and ruthless. Only with you was he patient and gentle. You were blinded by desire, you failed to see it yourself. Chapter 20. Gavin Hill, the lawyer who had been waiting patiently, silently stepped forward again, presenting the divorce agreement once more. "Miss Fairchild, Mr. Windsor has shown utmost consideration. He has not sought to inflict catastrophic damage on the Fairchild family. As long as you sign, both families will avoid substantial harm. This agreement was carefully considered by Mr. Windsor. This is the final tenderness and dignity he offers you." Victoria looked agonizingly at Sincere, who remained distant. Eyes red, she snatched the agreement, only to tear it to shreds on the spot. Amidst the fluttering pieces of paper, she choked back sobs, lifted her chin, and shouted defiantly at Sincere, "I will not divorce. I will prove I didn't cheat. I didn't betray you. You cannot divorce me." Her stubbornness masked sheer desperation. Victoria could never have imagined Sincere would utter the word divorce so decisively. The husband who had settled down for her, cherished her for years, was being so utterly final. Just then, Caleb clutched his head and yelled, "Victoria, don't get too agitated. Be careful of our baby." "Oh, sisa!" Victoria screamed, lunging at Caleb, furiously slapping his face. Fairchild family members quickly pulled Victoria away, forcibly escorting her out. Before leaving, Eleanor Fairchild approached Sincere, her face full of apology and guilt. "Sincere, the Fairchilds have wronged you. But I still want to ask, if Victoria truly didn't betray you, is there still any possibility for you two?" Sincere replied with a quiet "sorry," cutting Eleanor off. During their marriage, Victoria's parents had treated him well, and relations between the families were harmonious. Once, he and Victoria were the envy of many. But today's rupture saddened not only Victoria's parents but his own, and indeed himself. There was no thrill in exposing the truth, only a crushing weight on his heart, making it hard to breathe. He remembered how they had once eagerly hoped for him and Victoria to have a child soon, and now, things had changed irrevocably. There was no going back. The once warm and loving extended family, shattered overnight. The banquet ended abruptly. As Caleb was thrown out, someone mentioned seeing Victoria's car. Those two probably eloped. The more I think about it, the more unfair it feels for brother. Sincere, however, prevented others from making the matter public knowledge. When everyone advised him against such restraint, Sincere issued a command. From now on, do not mention those two names in my presence. He drove away from the Windsor estate alone. In the dead of night, he received a call from Victoria's best friend, Sophia. She was crying hysterically, telling Sincere. Victoria went to a bar and drank heavily to prove she wasn't pregnant. Do you know how foolish she's being? She said you hate seeing her in pain the most, that only by drinking herself into the hospital would you feel even a little sorry for her. And we couldn't stop her. She really drank until she vomited blood. I'm with her at the hospital now, Sincere Windsor, do you know? Victoria really is pregnant, but she's over a month along. The baby isn't Caleb's. The baby is yours, Sincere Windsor. The child in her belly is yours. You please come see her. She's about to torture herself to death. So fate decided to play a cruel joke on him at this very moment. Sincere hung up the phone, stood up, and headed to the hospital. He had never told anyone that he had once knelt for a month at a temple in Xi'an, praying for a child with Victoria. Chapter 21. Since waking up, Victoria alternated between crying and laughing. No family members were by her side. The Fairchilds were angry at her willfulness. She had hurt Sincere Windsor, bringing their marriage alliance to an end. Victoria's parents might eventually forgive her mistake, but her profit-driven businessman brother couldn't accept it. Without the powerful alliance with the Windsors, countless people would now eye the Fairchild family's assets. Victoria's sister-in-law had even declared, "Even if I had a daughter like that, I'd have broken her legs and thrown her out long ago. I couldn't bear the shame she brought disgrace upon the family." Because of this sentiment, no one stayed with Victoria. Only her best friend Sophia remained, constantly comforting her. "Victoria, you really can't get agitated right now or you'll lose the baby. I asked the doctor, the baby's gestational age is the best proof it's Sincere Windsor's child. Indo, you know I once saw Sincere when I went to the temple to fulfill a vow. He was kneeling before the Buddha statue. Since I thought I was mistaken at the time. Everyone knows Sincere's personality, an atheist like him, kneeling so devoutly. Later I quietly asked the abbot and learned he was praying for a child. And so Victoria, Sincere will definitely come. He's longed for this child for a long time. I've also called the Windsor family. They will come too." Victoria laughed, then cried even harder. Without the Caleb incident, this child's arrival would have been the crowning glory of her love story with Sincere. She herself had longed for this child. Now the baby was finally here, but Sincere didn't want her anymore. No, that wasn't right. Sincere would eventually cool down. He couldn't bear to be separated from her for too long. Her tears tasted so bitter. Just then the hospital room door opened. Richard Windsor entered first. Seeing her father-in-law, Victoria cried out "Dad" pitifully. Only a few hours had passed, but Victoria looked devoid of light. Richard sighed, but his first question was about the child. Sophia answered, "Victoria was too emotional. The baby was slightly affected, but the doctor said with proper hospital care, everything will be fine." Just as Richard was about to nod and tell Victoria to rest, the voices of a doctor and Sincere came from behind him. "A medical abortion is possible at this stage, but surgery is recommended for a cleaner procedure." Sincere remained silent, but the doctor's words plunged Victoria into an icy abyss. She couldn't believe Sincere would cruelly kill his own child. However, Sincere took the surgical consent form and signed his name. Sophia furiously cursed Sincere for killing his own child. Richard, also angered, pulled Sincere outside, demanding an explanation. The child is innocent, you. Sincere interrupted coldly. What, raising one Caleb wasn't enough? You want another? Sin, I am not like you. I will not allow my child to be born into a broken family. This child came at the wrong time. He didn't want his child growing up being called a fatherless bastard. Furthermore, Victoria drank heavily this past month. The pregnancy was already unstable. The doctor was waiting for family to arrive before explaining fully. Even if the baby survived to 4 or 5 months, it wouldn't escape miscarriage. Better to terminate now and arrange for prayers for its soul soon. Richard's face turned ashen. He couldn't utter a word. Perhaps this was retribution for him. He allowed Caleb to be born, then ignored his plight. Now Caleb had schemed and caused the death of his grandchild. Richard lowered his head, his voice hoarse. Then why didn't you tell Victoria the truth? What if she hates you? It's over between us. Whether she hates me or not, I don't care. As he finished speaking, Sophia rushed out of the room. Just went to the restroom for a second, but Victoria is gone. Sincere Windsor. What if she does something foolish? And what if Victoria can't handle it and tries to kill herself? Chapter. Just like that, Victoria disappeared without a trace. When the Fairchild family learned the news, her parents wept ceaselessly. Her brother and sister-in-law, however, clapped their hands, feeling rid of a nuisance. Strangely, Caleb also vanished. The two seemed to have evaporated into thin air, leaving no clues behind. The cousins consoled Sincere. I never expected sister-in-law to have such poor judgment. Maybe those 2 dogs ran off together. Brother, just file for divorce legally. There's no point letting her drag this out. Even Gavin Hill suggested Sincere pursue legal channels. Without Victoria's cooperation in signing, the divorce could only be finalized after a 3-year separation period. And today, 2 months had already passed. Victoria remained missing, her fate unknown. On the day Sincere planned to mail a lawsuit to Victoria's company, he received a call from an unknown number. It was from Xian. Answering, Sincere realized it was the temple's number. The person on the other end was pleased to reach him and explained,
"There's a woman who kneels here every night, then runs off at dawn.
We encountered her this morning and found a brooch with your name engraved on it in her clothes. Remembering the everlasting lamp you lit at the temple, we contacted you. Could you possibly come see this lady? She seems to have recently miscarried and looks very weak." Later, the abbot asked her why she knelt here. She said she was praying to heaven to return her child. Mr. Windsor, the abbot asked me to tell you, you have performed many good deeds in your life. The child originally came to repay your kindness, also due to your month of prayers. But the child sensed your unhappiness and chose to leave on its own. Hunte asks you not to bear any burden. When you find love again in the future, you will still have children. Sincere didn't say much, nor did he go to Xian to see Victoria, but he contacted Victoria's parents asking them to bring her back, within a couple of days. As Sincere was leaving his house, he saw Victoria standing at the gate. The weather had turned much colder. One needed a padded jacket in the morning. But Victoria wore only a thin dress, the necklace he had once given her still around her neck. Sincere. It's been a long time. Her eyes still held a flicker of light. Seeing him, her nose turned red, but she couldn't bear to look away. She hadn't seen Sincere for 2 months. Longing had taken root, driving her mad with yearning. Victoria didn't dare pause, afraid she'd be driven away. She quickly explained, her words tumbling out so fast she even bit her tongue. Sincere, I've investigated everything thoroughly. The whole truth is out. Please don't leave yet. Please listen to me, okay? I can tell you definitively, I did not betray you. I am innocent. Saying this, Victoria beamed like a child given candy. She hurried over. 2 months had passed. She was painfully thin and haggard, no longer the radiant heiress of before. Victoria pretended not to see the pity and rejection in Sincere's eyes. She didn't want that. She wanted Sincere's love and forgiveness. Eagerly, she opened her phone, showing him a video. On the screen was Caleb, 10 of his toes crushed, bloodied mouth pleading on the ground. Soto's videos and photos. I hired a private investigator to secretly film them. Seeing you constantly mention my brother, I deliberately took you drinking, coaxing you to drown your sorrows. While you were confused, I carried you into the car. You were already dead drunk, asleep like a log. Do you know, when I tried to take off your pants, you slapped me incoherently, then shouted Sincere Windsor's name. They say truth comes out when drunk. The person you still think of while drunk is the one loved to the bone. Victoria, you really love Sincere Windsor, huh? Too bad he doesn't want you anymore. You're pathetic. Chapter 23. In the video, Victoria reverted to her former self, decisive, even ruthless. She slapped Caleb hard twice, grabbed his hair, forcing his head up, and poured salt water directly onto his lacerated back. Caleb screamed in agony, but was silenced with a rag stuffed in his mouth. She kicked him hard in the head. Say Sincere Windsor's name again, and I'll pull out your tongue. Confess everything you did properly, or you won't leave here alive. When Caleb could speak again, he began confessing all his schemes. I really planned to take advantage of you while you were passed out, to defile you. After that failed, I tried to make you resent Sincere, to make him misunderstand you. He recounted many incidents, kneeling, stabbing himself, the identical brooch, the watch he tricked her into giving him. But just when Caleb thought he had succeeded, Victoria woke up. That woman was good to him, gentle, protective, all because of Sincere. He had desperately hoped, longed for Victoria to truly fall in love with him. Only now did he understand. Victoria's heart held only Sincere. So when Sincere proposed divorce, Victoria hated Caleb to the core. Caleb hated Sincere just as much. He roared in despair. I hate Sincere Windsor. I hate that we share the same father, yet he was born with everything. Wealth, status, and the most beautiful, capable wife. He has it all. In the video, Caleb, pushed to the brink of death, finally vented his resentment without restraint. He looked down on me like a rat to be crushed underfoot. Why? It's not fair. His eyes were bloodshot, his expression ferocious. Until the first day we met, you praised me, said I bore some resemblance to Sincere Windsor. Victoria, blame yourself for being stupid. You trusted me too easily. You deserved it. He used Victoria like a tool, turned her into a weapon to retaliate against Sincere. Since he couldn't beat Sincere in other areas, he would use this similar face to possess Sincere's woman. Men hated being cuckolded the most. Sincere was no exception. Even if I couldn't make you divorce, just making him think he was cuckolded was satisfying enough for me. At this point, Caleb burst into mad laughter. Victoria struck his head with a rod and ordered men to take Caleb to the police station. Report him for embezzlement. Let him spend the rest of his life in prison. After the video finished, hope rekindled in Victoria's eyes. I helped you deal with Caleb. He's too stupid, consumed by hatred for you. But you never harmed Caleb. He provoked you every time. Only then did you retort sarcastically. Sincere, I'm sorry. I only recently realized I misunderstood you. And Caleb had the malicious intent but lacked the courage. He didn't do anything to me while I was unconscious, so I escaped that fate. And after that day, my dash cam malfunctioned. Caleb sabotaged it. But I've fixed it now. It can prove my innocence. Sincere, I'm clean. I'm still your wife, your Victoria. Chapter 24. To verify her claims. Victoria played the dashcam footage. The video proved she had indeed not engaged in any relations with Caleb. She had not betrayed him. It was all Caleb's self-directed play, a deliberate frame-up. His intention was to destroy our marriage. Sincere, if we really divorce, wouldn't we fall right into Caleb's trap? This evidence resolved the cuckolding issue for Sincere. He wouldn't be laughed at anymore. Wouldn't be the man whose wife was stolen by an illegitimate brother. But Victoria didn't understand the green hat wasn't the sole reason for their separation. Seeing Victoria's face full of guilt, her thin features streaked with tears, cautiously tugging at his sleeve, she looked incredibly weak, like a fragile doll, easily evoking sympathy, as if she might collapse if he didn't forgive her immediately. Yet Sincere still pushed Victoria's hand away. "Victoria, the moment you disregarded my dignity and gave him that watch, our fate was sealed. The rift didn't start the day Caleb framed you. It began the moment you felt pity for him, the moment you started seeking my shadow in him. You fought with me for his sake, stayed out all night for him, paraded him around prestigious events. Did you ever consider how humiliated I would feel?" Victoria had never reflected on these actions. In her mind, her little tantrums were merely attempts to make Sincere care more about her. But she had never considered Sincere's feelings. Victoria's mouth opened, then closed, unable to form words. Sincere told her calmly, "When you humiliated me, when you abandoned me, when you protected Caleb time and again, Victoria, your love for me had already soured. Let's divorce. This is the final dignity. I don't like ugly fights. Going our separate ways, becoming strangers, is the best ending. A cracked mirror cannot be repaired." Tears streamed down Victoria's face, but she didn't dare reach for Sincere's hand again. Her hand slowly went behind her back, large teardrops falling relentlessly. "And I was stupid. I was selfish and childish, causing you so much pain. But I just want you to know, from beginning to end, I have only loved you." Unfortunately, such love. Sincere didn't want it anymore. But Victoria still wanted to make a final attempt. She told him, "Sincere, I will show you. I will show you how much I love you." Sincere ignored her, merely stating a time. "I hope you can be there. I don't want to go through legal proceedings. It's not good for either of us." Victoria didn't reply. That night, however, fireworks lit up the entire city skyline, spelling out Sincere's and Victoria's names, the same display from their wedding day. Victoria also booked a large shopping mall. She filled it with red roses, waiting for Sincere to appear. Holding a microphone, she confessed her love emotionally before countless onlookers, recounting their shared memories and love story. But Victoria didn't know that over the past 2 months, everyone in the city had learned about their situation. Everyone felt Sincere had been wronged. Her current attempts at reconciliation were met with ridicule. "Belated affection, Miss Fairchild. Who are you performing for? When you lost the one who truly loved you. Good riddance. Now Sincere Windsor is the national husband again. Victoria, you reap what you sow. You brought this upon yourself." Victoria and Sincere Windsor are completely over. I heard a noblewoman from Europe is pursuing Sincere now. I bet he'll remarry soon. Chapter 25. Hearing the endless accusations and curses, and thinking of Sincere falling in love with someone else, marrying someone else, Victoria could no longer hold on and collapsed on the spot. When Eleanor Fairchild came to pick her up, she too faced ridicule. Victoria's sister-in-law blamed Victoria entirely. Her parents felt helpless and finally bought Victoria a house abroad, hoping she would settle there. After waking up, Victoria remained silent. She refused to proceed with the divorce until Caleb was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Only then did she reappear before Sincere Windsor. Sincere had just left the Windsor estate. Ironically, this time, his parents were pressuring him into a blind date with a foreign woman, just like the year Victoria and her father had suddenly visited. But this time, though the woman was interested, Sincere politely declined. Seeing Victoria, Sincere said nothing, simply handed her the divorce agreement. Victoria still wanted to plead, but then she saw the beautiful foreign woman. She assumed Sincere was going to marry someone else. Victoria's lips were colorless. Dark circles hung heavy under her eyes. After much hesitation, witnessed by the lawyer, she finally signed her name. As they parted, Victoria gazed at Sincere for a long time, her eyes filled with deep affection. Sincere looked away, preparing to get into his car and leave. Just then, a dilapidated taxi suddenly shot out from a side alley, speeding directly towards Sincere. Before anyone could react, Victoria screamed, "Sincere, watch out." A figure flew forward, shoving Sincere aside. Dizziness overwhelmed him, his ears filled only with the deafening sound of impact, amidst rising screams. Through Sincere's blurry vision, he vaguely saw Victoria thrown 4 or 5 meters by the taxi. Beneath her, stark crimson blood spread. In a daze, Sincere saw Victoria again, her beautiful face etched with displeasure, clutching his hand, pouting like a spoiled child. "Why have so many people confessed their love to you? I'm not happy, Sincere. I can't even tell you love me. You've never even written me a love letter." He was working, glanced at her, a smile playing on his lips. "I've never written love letters to anyone else either. I can't stop others from writing to me, and besides, I never responded to them. I don't care, I want one. I want one, boo-hoo, you don't love me." Victoria wanted to continue pouting but met Sincere's cool gaze. She released his hand, looking wronged, afraid of angering him, never mentioning it again. However, while she slept soundly, Sincere gently kissed her lips, his palm softly caressing her face. "Silly girl. On our wedding day, I have a surprise for you." The proud, aloof man had locked himself away, learning to sew a bridal veil, even working on it during office hours. When Daniel asked why he was so dedicated, Sincere explained, "Ain't because it's for my wife. Of course I have to give her the best. Victoria will eventually discover the poem I embroidered on the veil, a poem about finding one's beloved. She would find it eventually." Sincere laughed at Daniel's lack of understanding about love. There's a line from an old song, "From before, when things were slow, travel was slow, letters took long, one could only love one person in a lifetime. Since I am marrying her, I will give her the best. I will never deceive her, never betray her. She and I are meant to be together for a lifetime." But the scene shifted. She stood there, accusing him furiously. "Sincere Windsor, not only are your words filthy, but your heart is even filthier. And you're not half as good as your brother." Chapter 26. When Sincere regained consciousness, he saw only the brightly lit white ceiling of the hospital room. Many people stood around. Seeing him awake, they anxiously asked about his condition. Margaret Windsor tightly held her son's hand. "Thank goodness you were pushed away in time. Apart from a mild concussion, nothing else is wrong. Do you know you nearly scared your mother to death? For something like this to happen right outside our home. Mother almost couldn't bear it." Sincere couldn't quite recall the events before losing consciousness. He only remembered having a dream, fragments of moments with Victoria. Upon waking, his heart felt empty, no anger, no sadness, just the knowledge that he and Victoria were truly, completely finished. The police arrived soon after, questioning Sincere about Caleb Windsor. "Caleb is currently detained, but he bribed someone, hired a killer, wanting to silence you permanently. We need to understand the feud between you two so Caleb can face legal consequences." The taxi driver who tried to kill him was hired by Caleb? Sincere's memory slowly returned. He heard the police describe Caleb's behavior in prison. He's like he's lost his mind. To find protection, he even stooped to associating with an old man. We also found out Caleb has a history of destroying families. There was even a middle-aged woman who committed suicide over him previously. He only arrived in the city last year. We don't know how he managed to gain Miss Fairchild's favor and live comfortably for a while. If Caleb hadn't sought his own destruction, he would have been released after 10 years. But now, hiring a killer, causing severe consequences, he faced a death penalty. Sincere left it for his father to handle. This debt was originally Richard's. Let him resolve this ill-fated connection himself. As for Victoria, after the police left, Sincere finally asked about Victoria's condition. How is she? Is she badly injured? The people around him fell silent upon hearing his question. Ultimately, it was on the second day after Sincere woke up that his father took him outside Victoria's hospital room. The taxi driver had intended to kill. Victoria's injuries were severe. Her spleen had ruptured and was removed. But worse, her lumbar spine was fractured. She would spend the rest of her life in a wheelchair. Through the glass, Victoria stirred weakly on the bed. She seemed to sense Sincere watching her. She thought she heard Sincere gently call her wife. She thought she saw Sincere kneeling, praying for a child. 2 tears suddenly escaped Victoria's eyes. Her emotions were highly unstable. On the day Sincere was discharged from the hospital, he received a note written by Victoria. It simply said, "I'm sorry," and added another line. "Unsincere Windsor, can you believe me now? I really love you. If I had died then, would it have proven my love never changed? I'm sorry, truly sorry. I love you." That is true. Sincere had no words. He cast one final glance towards Victoria's room. She stared forlornly out the window, looking even thinner. After leaving the hospital, Sincere mobilized resources, bringing in the world's top medical and rehabilitation specialists for Victoria. When Victoria's parents came to express their gratitude, Sincere asked them not to tell Victoria he was helping. He would continue to support Victoria until she could stand again. When Sincere, Eleanor Fairchild asked, "Olsen, you and Victoria, do you truly not love her anymore?" Sincere looked out the car window at the setting sun. "I just don't want to owe her this life." As for love, he only knew that from now on he and Victoria would be strangers, forgetting each other as if they had never met.